Hey everyone, it's Joric. Welcome back. I hope you are doing great wherever you are in the world. I wanted to give some information to you. I did a Zoom call with, I think there were over 40 people on the call from Australia, the US, Canada, and the UK. And they all had a couple of things in common. So, one, they all spoke English, so we could all communicate with one another. But they also, all of them, we were the only people on the call that moved to Portugal and have been in Portugal. The other people were considering Portugal, but because of various reasons, most notably the NHR being pulled last fall. So, for example, Australia doesn't have any tax agreement with Portugal, so they really needed that NHR if they were going to move to help benefit them. But they've all passed on Portugal and they've wanted to have discussions and conversations about Spain, France, those two specifically, as well as Greece and Malta. And I just wanted to give you some of the feedback because, again, all of the people on the call had done scouting trips in Portugal. Some of them had committed. They had even put down routes as far as getting the bank account, getting the NIF, and securing property in a couple of cases, which now they're trying to sell because they're not going to end up being here. And I wanted to go through just what their feedback has been so you have it for your feedback as you're considering a move here to Portugal. So, the number one thing, let's be honest, and this is the number one reason why I stopped doing a lot of Portuguese content, is because when the NHR, when that was going away, 80% of the views went away for the channel. So that's why I wanted to broaden and do more travel across Europe and maybe around the world in time. But the NHR, that was a big deal, of course. And then also rents and home prices or apartment prices, the properties haven't gone down. Yes, there's more supply. Yes, there's a lot more out there to choose from. But I'll say what people are looking for, meaning move-in ready, less to no renovations, maybe has AC, heat units, those types of things. People are still paying a premium in rent and a premium in property prices. And as they're penciling out their numbers, and this is something that I hope you do as you're watching this video, when you create your budget, maybe you have made that we're going to move to Portugal in 2025. That's going to be your date, or 2028. And you've come for a couple of scouting trips. You kind of know where you want to live. You have a good feel for what the cost of living is at the time that you came on your scouting trips. But I would keep looking at what rent or property sales prices are, because you're going to have to factor that in into future opportunity cost, as well as what when the government is making changes. Just made a video recently because people were messaging going, the NHR is coming back, and I said no, it's not coming back, not in the way that we knew it, and it's not going to come back. The sentiment in the country from the listening to the political parties and watching them during interviews on the news is that very much want to make sure it's Portugal first. And some of the things that expats or immigrants, whatever you want to call people moving, are interested in are down the line, and a lot of people don't really care about. Many of the people that were in power when some of these things came into play, the golden visa, the NHR aren't in power or don't have the power that they had back in the late 2010s, 2010s, if you will. But the NHR going away, and that's not going to come back in the way it used to be. I don't see that happening. Property prices are not going down. People are finding much better deals in Spain and France, comparatively speaking, to Portugal. And when they look at food, so one person just said, okay, trying to compare the food, if I'm going to compare France to Portugal, that's like what was the analogy? Comparing a Lamborghini to I forget, like a Honda Civic or something. So, and I can't disagree with that. But French food is fantastic. I also think it can be very expensive too. Um, but as people are making those decisions, and as you're making your decision, I would say keep looking at that cost of living, because your biggest bite that you have to take out of your budget is going to be that mortgage or your rent. Um, and you have to think about that. That's going to be a major deal depending on how the taxes are. If you're thinking about, let's say, if these people that are looking at Spain, they've already figured out what they're going to be able to get, and after a certain period of time, their, I'll say, deal is going to go away. They've also analyzed what the French and American, specifically, tax treaty is, so they know exactly how their retirement income is going to be taxed and what is going to be taxed, what isn't. So they have it pretty dialed in. And for those people coming to Portugal, I want to make sure that as you're still gung ho, I'm not looking to, sell you on someplace else or tell you not to come. But I would watch videos from other people that, why they left and what was the reasoning, and from other people, because there are many people that do many more views and are much bigger when it comes to Portugal. Watch their interviews that they're doing with people that are staying or leaving, or what are the reasons that they have for why they're still coming after things have changed here in Portugal, or why they're skipping over Portugal and now looking at Spain or France or someplace else to live. In our case, people monthly or quarterly ask, given where Portugal is today, would you have still made the same decision that you made in 2019? And I would say that we probably still would have moved to Portugal as opposed to anywhere else. The caveat, though, is based upon not having NHR and not having that cap at 20%, having that be based upon salaries at 48%, plus owing taxes back to the U.S., we probably would not have. So as much as we enjoy being in Portugal, and we think the cost of living is still really fantastic compared to many other places in Europe, and I'll say maybe quality of life versus quantity of life. That's very subjective, and that's a video for another day. But I think we probably would still look at it. The difficulty, though, is the work issue and the taxes within that. Paying 70% taxes, not our idea of a good time. So we probably would have to sit there and go, do we move at all? Or is there someplace else that, from a tax perspective, while we're still working, that we can get a break because we still owe taxes back in the U.S.? Now, when it comes to retirement, that's a little different story, because I know the tax treaty within Portugal and the U.S., and sometimes the specific question is, well, if you were retired, would you consider Portugal as a place to live? And again, I'd probably have the same answer. We most likely, but not sure that this would be the place that we would live. Not sure that we would move to Europe right at the moment. There's an interesting thing that's happened in Europe. I would say maybe prior to pandemic, certainly through pandemic and coming out of it, and you can see based upon elections and whatnot, there are more countries that, whether you want to call it populist, nationalist, conservative, depending on country, there's different terms that may get used for different parties. But I would say that in general, many countries that seemed more open to immigrants when we were looking to move in 2017 and 2018, some of those same countries might be a little less open to immigrants, and that doesn't matter where you're from. And that's why I try not to. Sometimes I make videos because I know a lot of Americans are watching, and I'm from the US, so that's what I know. But most of the people that live in Portugal aren't from the US. We're not even in the top 20 yet. I think we're in the top 25, but not the top 20. It's many Eastern European countries. Let's see, also Italy, a lot of people from Italy here, and African former Portuguese colonies that those people have come here and moved. So, and as well as Bangladesh, Nepal, India, many people have come from there for a variety of reasons. And there may be many people that don't care about taxes. They're going to come because they need to get away from conflict or they need work. And Portugal offers, in their case, some work and some refuge from the situation that they're in. But if you are looking and considering moving to Portugal, I would encourage you to watch videos that, I don't know, some of the taglines are probably why we left Portugal, or leaving Portugal, or the Portugal dream is dead or gone, or move away now, or don't come to Portugal. Yes, some of those might be clickbaity, but you might get a good understanding and get some more personalized feedback as to why Portugal, there was this kind of halo over Portugal where it was trending and it's no longer become the trending spot. I really don't know what is. But for those of you that are still gung-ho about Portugal, keep whittling at that cost of living. Keep looking at your budget. Keep making sure that Portugal, if in 2025 or 2026, still aligns with what you want to do personally, if you're working professionally, and it's still the place you want to be. If not, keep pursuing other options. So many people, it's not Portugal or bust. It's Portugal's one of many places, and based upon pros and cons, then you end up in, let's say, your top 3, top 2, and then you pick one. So, as things change politically in countries, economically in countries, socially in many countries, keep adding that in, because it's more than just taxes and rent or a mortgage that goes into it. It's the numbers for sure, but you also want to make sure that you're going to a place where you feel welcome, that the current economic, political, and social climate is one that is, I'll say, more warm and welcoming than not. So, and whether that be Portugal or anywhere, Timbuktu, keep that in mind as you're looking for places to live. As always, thank you so much for watching and allowing me to ramble a little bit today. I greatly appreciate it. Enjoy your travels.